The parking garage beneath the Harlow Tower was the kind of place that swallowed sound. Concrete pillars stood in neat rows like sentinels under pale fluorescent lights. The air smelled of engine oil and cold stone. Most people passed through it without a second glance, in a hurry, eyes down. Minds already somewhere else. Claire Whitmore was always in a hurry. She was 41 years old, the CEO of Meridian Health Solutions, and she moved through the world at a pace that left most people slightly breathless, trying to keep up. Her green dress swept behind her as she crossed the garage floor that Thursday evening, her phone already pressed to her ear, her mind running through the agenda for tomorrow's board meeting. Numbers, projections, acquisitions, the endless machinery of her working life behind her. Carrying her briefcase and a garment bag, walked Marcus. Marcus Webb had been Claire's personal driver for almost 2 years. He was 38, quiet by nature, with careful eyes and the steady and hurried manner of someone who had learned long ago that patience was not weakness. He wore a plain dark suit and kept 3 steps behind her, as she preferred. He opened doors without being asked. He remembered which coffee she liked on Monday mornings versus Friday afternoons. He knew every alternate route through the city. When traffic locked up on the main arteries, Claire knew almost none of this about him. To her, Marcus was simply the man who drove the car. She had said to her assistant once, without cruelty, but without much thought either, "He's reliable, I suppose. I've never really had to think about him." That was, perhaps, exactly the problem. They were 30 feet from the car, a dark Mercedes parked near the elevator bank, when Marcus noticed something shift in the shadows between 2 concrete pillars. He had spent 4 years in private security before becoming a driver. He had left that world deliberately, trading tension for quiet. But some habits do not unlearn themselves. His body registered the change before his mind named it. A shape where there should be no shape. A stillness that was too careful, too controlled. He didn't say anything yet. He simply shortened the gap between himself and Claire, moving from 3 steps behind to 1. Claire didn't notice. She was saying something firm into her phone about a contract clause. Then the figure stepped out. He was dressed entirely in black jacket, gloves, mask, covering everything above his jaw. He moved fast and with purpose, the stride of someone who had rehearsed this. Behind him, from the far side of the parking level, a second figure appeared, cutting off the path back to the elevator. Claire heard the footsteps before she understood them. She turned. She saw the man. Her phone dropped from her fingers and clattered against the concrete. For one long, terrible second, she froze. Marcus did not. He stepped in front of her, not dramatically, not with any performance of heroics, but simply and immediately, the way a person steps between a child and a street. His voice was low, and even when he spoke, "Get behind the car." Driver's side. "Stay low," Claire moved. Some part of her, the part beneath the boardrooms and the quarterly reports, responded to the calm in his voice without question. What happened in the next 90 seconds? She would struggle later to reconstruct in any clean order. She remembered the sound of scuffling. She remembered pressing herself against the cold metal of the car door, her breath coming in sharp, shallow pulls. She remembered Marcus, quiet, methodical Marcus, who brought her coffee and held open doors, holding the first man back with a practiced grip that looked almost gentle, but clearly was not. She remembered him calling out a warning to the second man in a tone so controlled it seemed to stop him mid-step. She remembered the lights of the security vehicle appearing at the garage entrance. Summoned by a silent alarm Marcus had triggered on his phone before the confrontation had even fully begun. The police took their statements under the flat glow of the fluorescent lights. The 2 men were in handcuffs. One of the officers told Claire it had appeared to be a coordinated kidnapping attempt. Someone had been watching her schedule. Claire sat on the hood of the Mercedes, her green dress dusty at the hem, her hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee that a young officer had brought her. She was not crying. She was not the kind of person who cried easily, but something in her chest felt very different from how it had felt an hour ago. Marcus stood a short distance away, answering questions calmly, patiently, the way he did everything. His jacket was torn at the shoulder. He hadn't mentioned it. When the officer finally walked away, Claire looked at him for a long moment. "You knew," she said. "Before they even moved, you knew." Marcus glanced at her. "I wasn't certain, but close enough." She was quiet for a while. The garage hummed around them with the soft mechanical breath of ventilation. "Fines," "I don't know anything about you," she said at last. Not as an accusation, more like a slow, honest recognition, arriving after a long delay. Marcus considered this. "You never asked?" he said. And then, because he was not a man who held on to things, "It's all right." But it wasn't quite, and Claire knew it. She thought about the 2 years of mornings and late evenings and airport runs and all the small courtesies he had. Extended to her without expectation, she thought about how she had handed him her bags without looking up from her phone, how she had spoken about him like furniture. "I'd like to ask now," she said, "if that's okay." For the first time in 2 years, she heard Marcus Webb laugh. It was a quiet sound, slightly surprised, with something warm in it. "I grew up in Cleveland. I have a daughter. She's 9. Her name is Rose." Claire nodded. She didn't reach for her phone. She didn't think about the board meeting. "Tell me about her," she said. And in that cold, humming garage, under the pale wash of fluorescent light, with the city going on above them without knowing or caring what had just passed between two people, he did.